Welcome to another live today on a Sunday. Going to start in the next 5 minutes, giving people time to log in, check in. I know some people watching the game. I barely watch games since I've been doing this. So for those individuals who can't make it live and you got other things that you're trying to do, this video will be recorded and you can follow up on this video on our YouTube channel. Just type in Crowd Wall Street Entrepreneurs and you can find it on our YouTube channel. You can also go back to my page or join our Facebook group. Type in on Facebook Crowd Wall Street Group, and you can also locate our private Facebook group where you can join and follow up on this video and previous videos that me or somebody from my team have done already. So we're going to get started in 5 minutes. Go ahead and chime in. Once you get in, go ahead and share this video. We're going to be discussing part 2 from the previous live I did last week. If you missed it, just go ahead and go to our YouTube channel and type in "Why should I start a business?" and that'll give you pretty much a recap on what I'm going to talk about today, which is your exit strategy. We're going to talk about your exit strategy. So go ahead and share this video. We're going to get started in a few minutes. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So for those who don't know me, it's your first time getting this live. I'm T.L.Williams. Some may call me T.L.Williams. One of the founders at Crowd Wall Street, which is a crowdfunding platform for minorities and Black founders. We just recently launched back in August of this year. We just launched our rewards base, and we're planning on launching our equity and real estate offerings in the first quarter of 2021. And basically what that looked like is we're going to have, opportunities where, individuals like yourselves can get in and have some form of equity positions in startups, small companies, or even project development deals in the real estate aspect of it. We have some things that we're getting ready to launch maybe in the next week or so. So we'll keep you guys informed with that. So last week, Sunday, we went over, why you want to start a business. And a lot of times when we think about our why, the first thing we're thinking about is, is family, make money, things that leave legacies. And in some shape or form, that's like a general statement. We need to be intentional about what we mean by why we want to start a business. And part of that is understanding what type of business do I have or what type of business I am establishing. And pretty much what we went over last week was understanding your business structure. Some of you may have a business that's called a lifestyle business. Some may have a business what we all know as small businesses. And within that small business, we have, your mom and pop shops, and you have your sole proprietorships. We talked about starting a business for acquisitions, or starting a business to go public, which is, what we call IPO. So understanding these different structures will kind of help you understand what type of business you have and how to scale your company or how to manage the business, which leads us to today's training, which is your exit strategy. If you understand the foundation and you understand what type of business structure you have, it will better prepare you to come up or plan for an exit strategy. And just a couple examples of what exit strategy is, because this is something that has not been talked about or is not talked about in the business world. But it's surrounded around us every day. You know, we always see exits when it comes to business. And most of the exits in the business world that we always hear about is, number one, a company going public on the stock exchange. That's an exit strategy. On the negative side of it is when we hear businesses going out of business. They either close shop, or when you walk around certain stores and you see, oh, everything's for sale, liquidation, you know, the business is closing, and you see that these companies are liquidating all of their assets, which is mainly their inventory, and they're selling it pennies on a dollar. That is an exit strategy, whether it was planned or not, but it's an exit strategy. So another example of exit strategies, let's say, for example, for your own personal reasons, life insurance. Believe it or not, life insurance is an exit strategy. If I die, what is my exit strategy? I'm going to get a life insurance policy where I'm going to get $100,000, $200,000 life insurance policy on myself. So if I pass away, the money can cover, you know, house expenses, the mortgage, you know, car expenses, car notes. It can go towards, you know, student debt, whatever it may be. That is an exit strategy on your life. If something happened, what am I leaving behind? Another example, which we all familiar with, but we don't really know as an exit strategy, but retirement plans. When we have a job, our goal is not to work our job forever. We have to have some form of exit strategy. At what point am I leaving my job? And then under what circumstances or condition am I leaving my job? So we have what's called retirement plans. We have our 401k. So therefore, my exit strategy is, okay, I'm going to give this job 20, 30, sometimes 40 years of my time in my life. And then my exit is, once I retire, I have some form of passive income, whether that's my 401k or my social security, where now I'm able to live off this budget outside of my job when I retire. That's an exit strategy. So in reality, we are planning in some shape or form, whether it's getting a life insurance or you working a 9-to-5 job and you planning for retirement, you're really planning your exit strategy. So when it comes to business, we're not so much thinking about an exit strategy. We're so in tune with starting a business and making money, and in some cases how to scale it. But a lot of times we don't have those conversations or on what is my exit strategy with my business. Even when it comes to real estate investing, many times we just get into just, you know, investing in properties, but we don't have an exit strategy when it comes to investing. And I think it's something that needs to be talked about. It's something that needs to be addressed, because when you understand the power of exit strategy, it will help you to think strategically on investment opportunities, and it'll help you think strategically on how to create your business and how to structure your business. Because exit strategy is not always a bad thing. It can help you to increase your profits and maximize your business value with the end in mind. You always got to have the end in mind. Same thing with the 401k. Everybody's working, yes, to pay for today, but then what about tomorrow? And what about 10 years from now? So when you have your job, you're starting with the end in mind. When you're applying for a job, you say, okay, what are the benefits? Do they have retirement plan? Why? Because you're thinking of the end in mind. And when you think about the end in mind, you're better suited to plan accordingly. Same thing as building a house. You don't build a house with the roof, even though the roof is in mind, but we know that's towards the end. But now I know what type of house I'm building. Now I'm able to build the infrastructure to support whatever that blueprint be. So today, I hope you got an idea what the exit strategy is. So today we're going to do another PowerPoint presentation where I'm going to go over exit strategy and give you different examples of exit strategy. You may know your exit strategy now. You may not know your exit strategy, but I'm quite sure after today live training, you will kind of understand what exit strategy means and how you can start preparing for your exit strategy. And all this is really based on your personal goals and your business goals. Once you understand your personal goals and business goals, when it comes to your exit strategy, you'll be able to find out, what route you want to take. And granted, you may not know today what my exit strategy may be, but now you may have an idea and say, okay, these are different routes we may go. When we're talking about leaving a legacy or creating wealth, that's an exit strategy. So again, what does that look like? We always talking about, oh, I want to start a business to leave a legacy, or I want to build wealth. Like, what does that look like? We can't just keep talking about general terms and we're not getting specific about it. So exit strategy is what you need to know, what you need to understand as a business owner and as an investor. So we're going to go ahead and start. Put my phone up. And we're going to do this presentation. So let me set this up. Again, look, share this video. I'm quite sure it's going to be some valuable information. Share this video, tag your friends, any entrepreneurs, any investors. It's not going to be long, but go ahead and share this stuff. So let me go here. All right, so just making sure we up. All right, so before we get into details, just give you a basic overrun on exit strategy. Again, if you're just chiming in, for you to properly understand this presentation, I would highly suggest going back to the first video I did last week. It's called "Why Should I Start a Business?" or "Why You Want to Start a Business." You can research that on YouTube. Just type in "Crowd Wall Street Entrepreneurs" and you will see the video. And that way you can kind of understand what we're talking about with exit strategy, because the first video I did kind of ties into today's video, which is why I call it, part 2. So here, Crowd Wall Street. So here is your exit strategy options. These are the options that you have. Liquidation, which I discussed earlier. Legacy, sell to managers and employees, sell to the open market. You want to sell to another business, or IPO. These are your options on exit strategy. I don't think there's nothing else outside of it. This is where it's at. And these are the things that you need to consider when we're talking about exit strategy. Let me do this because I got both of me on here. Take me off. I think I kind of like that. We'll roll with that. But this one, see how it turned out. All right, so exit strategy options. So like I said, you have liquidation, you have legacy, you can sell to managers, employees, you can sell to the open market, which I discuss as we move forward. You can actually sell your business to another company. And the last but not least, what we all in some shape or form are familiar with is IPO. When you see companies go public and list their company on the stock exchange, that's actually an exit strategy. So let's talk about liquidation. This is the close it up shop and sell out all the assets exit strategy. The advantage is simple. All you have to do is pretty much either close it down, close your business down, or like I said before, like the example I give you, you walk past these stores and these stores are closing and everything is on a discount. Everything is for sale, at a low discount rate because it's liquidation. They're just trying to sell everything that's in their store just to make whatever extra profit or money that they can make before they close the business down. So in some cases, you have business that just close down and just leave it. In some cases, you have business owners just try to get their last penny before the final closeout. So the disadvantage of liquidation is low return on investment. Think about it. You're selling everything at a low discount. So, your inventory or your assets may be worth more, but because you're liquidating, you have to sell everything less than its value just to clean house and close up shop because you're going out of business. Another disadvantage is creditors, if any. They have the first claim. If you have loans or things that have UCC filing on your business, they have first priority to all your your assets. So that's definitely cutting in your profit, or you making money before liquidations. So this is like one of the simplest, and most of the time when you see companies at this stage is really because they don't have an exit strategy and the business haven't worked out. The business pretty much failed, or the owner may have lost passion for the company and may not be savvy enough to know that there's other opportunities where they can actually sell the company to a strategic or a financial, investor who can actually take over the company and maybe scale it. So sometimes these business owners may not have that knowledge or understanding that there are other opportunities. So sometimes when you see companies at the liquidation stage, more likely they either going out of business because the business just not turning over any profits, or sometimes the business owner just burnt out, don't know any other options because they don't have the proper mentors or advisor or consultant to guide them and show them that there's other ways that they can do it. And ultimately, the biggest thing is they really never had an exit strategy. So again, the first one is liquidation. The second exit strategy is legacy, which we all talk about far as leaving a legacy, building wealth for our kids, our family, right? So this is like, keeping your business in the family to ensure that your legacy lives on and provides a living for your heirs. So the advantage of having a legacy exit strategy is it can be a smooth transition. If you have, one of those family businesses where you and your significant other or your kids are working a business, this is something that you can actually pass on to them to manage the company. And again, it could be a smooth transition because especially if your kids or your family is working in the business with you, they understand the business. They understand, the day-to-day operation. So it's kind of easier for you to transition and, step away from the business and have your family take over and run the business. What's also advantage of this is you can keep your hand in the business, meaning you don't have to completely leave the business. You can still come on as an advisor. So for example, if let's say your kids take over, um, you're still there to help, oversee the business while they work the day to day. So if they need help or need advice or something, you're still in the picture. So your hands are still involved, but you're not actually working the day-to-day operation. Now, when it comes to the disadvantages, you already know how family is. So fighting over ownership and or participation in the business can be a big deal. Excuse me. It could be a big deal. You may have one sibling that say, hey, I need to be the manager because I have more experience than, the other person, or the other person might feel they're worthy to take over the business. It could be a whole lot of, fighting that comes. If it's not properly planned, you can have issues down the road when it's time to exit your business, especially when you're dealing with family. So if you're starting a family business, it's always beneficial to draw everything out at the beginning. Like I tell my clients, when you're forming an LLC or a corporation, you have what's called either operating agreement or bylaws. And, even though you may not think twice about it, but it's always good to have something in writing to state, okay, This is the exit strategy, and this is who's going to take over what. This is going to do what. Have everything laid out. That way, everybody know what the deal is when it's time to have that transition happens. Another disadvantage is family members may lack the skills. I always say you may have good employees, but bad managers, which means that somebody could be good at uh, being an employee and and working in that capacity, but now moving them up to be a manager or a business owner to manage more than just what their main job duties is. It can be a bad fit, and that's something to consider. Just because somebody's working the business and understand the business doesn't mean they know how to manage the business at whole. So that can be another disadvantage. The last thing is customers may not approve of new management. Again, if whatever that may be, you might have, employees that has bad customer service or have a bad rep when it comes to the interaction with customers. And if a customer realize that this person is taking over the business, and yeah, the business may not last that long because that employee already built up a bad rep for their name or built a bad relationship with their customers. So of course, anybody would feel like, hey, if this person going to take over the business, I'm out. I'll find another business to support. So these are the things to consider when you're talking about leaving a legacy. The next one, management buyout, what you call an MBO. So this is where current employees and or managers may be interested in buying your business. So it's kind of similar to leaving a legacy, but only difference is these individuals are not family members. They're actually employees or managers of the business. So the advantages of this is managing employees are familiar with the business, similar to leaving a legacy for family members who work in the business. Same thing for employees and managers. This can also increase loyalty. Like for example, Publix give out stock ownerships, for the employees. So, when you're talking about setting up an exit strategy, one of them could be a management buyout where you give your employees a percentage of ownership of your company, with the possibility of maybe uh, taking over the company at a future date, And when you set something up like that, it can create more loyalty because that manager or that employee will know they will have an opportunity to take over this business once that exit strategy happens, because eventually it will, because nobody's going to work their business forever. So it kind of creates some sense of loyalty to know that, it's something that, your employees or your managers could look forward to in the future. Another advantage is keep a share of the business. So therefore, like I said, with legacy, and this management buyout, you don't have to completely leave the company. You can still keep a small percentage ownership of the company where you can still receive some form of dividend payout, but you don't have to be on the day-to-day operations. So these are the advantages of management buyout. Now, the disadvantage, again, manager employee may not be suitable. Just because somebody's a good employee doesn't mean they're a good manager or a good business owner. And again, customers may not approve of new management. The same thing with legacy. Only difference is on one hand, you're talking about family. On the other hand, you're talking about employees and managers. Here, you're talking about selling to an open market. So this is basically when you're ready to retire, you then put the business up for sale for a certain price and hopefully walk away with the amount of money you wanted to get it for. So this is basically saying, hey, this ties into liquidation, right? So when it's time for you to sell your company, in most cases, people don't know that, they can actually, like a house, put a sign up and say for sale. And so instead of somebody taking that route, they end up doing liquidation where they just sell everything at a discount, try to take as much money as they can before they close shop. Here, instead of you going the liquidation route, you actually put your business up for sale. So you can put it on Craigslist, you can put it on Facebook, or you can actually hire a business broker, which is like a real estate agent only for businesses, where they actually go out and find buyers to buy your company. The advantage is a profitable business would be attractive to buyers, meaning if your business is profitable and is making money and is in a good market or a good industry or sector, there's a high chance that you may find an attractive, you may attract a buyer to pay you top pennies or top dollars for, so I said top dollars for your company. The disadvantage is businesses can be difficult to value and the selling price may be much lower than expected. What that means is anytime you're involved in selling, especially when it comes to negotiation, it all boils down to negotiations. It's all about what your buyer is willing to pay. Even when it comes to products, you can sell your product for $5, but it all boils down to what your buyers are willing to pay. So if you're selling a product for $5, but I feel like it's not worth $5, guess what? I'm not paying you my $5. So the same thing with selling a business or even selling real estate. If you're selling your business, let's say you want to sell it for $300,000 and I'm your buyer, but after looking at your financial statements and looking at your business model and, I'm just looking at everything, I may not feel like your business is worth $300,000. I may feel like it's worth $250,000. So you may settle, but that may not be what you expected. So it all boils down to negotiation. So one of the key thing is understanding this is an exit strategy. So just to give you an example, when you're talking about selling your company at an open market like real estate, think about it like real estate, right? You have people that invest in fix and flips, right? So they buy properties at at a low valuation, fix it up, renovate it, and then turn around and sell it at a higher valuation, right? The key to it is to increase the valuation to sell it at a higher margin, right? Same thing with business. If your exit strategy, if you in your mind to say, you know what, my goal is to start an online business, scale it to the point where it's making $5 million a year, to sell it to make a profit of 20 million, you have an exit strategy. Now you go ahead and you work that business because now you have the end in mind. My end is to get my business to bring in 5 million revenue, to sell it at 15 to 20 million dollars. In this space, we call it a multiple. You want to sell it, at a 2x or a 3x or a 4x. So now you have an exit strategy. So now when you work in that business, you have a goal in mind. You already know what I need to do. So you're going to do anything necessary to bring in that $5 million so you can sell it at a higher multiple. And that's pretty much why, this is one of the exit strategies that you can consider. And believe it or not, some people start businesses just to sell it. Why? Because now, just think about it. I may have started this business with $5,000, for example. 5 years from now, I can sell it at 2 million. That's a great profit, right? So now I can take that 2 million and do what? I can start another business. I can invest in real estate, or I could burn it. Let's go travel and just spend it all up. You want to suggest that. But again, that's what people do. They take that profit and they start another business and do the same thing. They rinse and repeat like real estate. So the same way the real estate model is, the same way the business model can work when it comes to that. So the next one is sell to another business. This is where we're talking about mergers and acquisitions. If you follow my last video, I briefly talked about, why you start a business. Just like I said, some people start businesses just to sell it. So you can sell to another business. So positioning your small business to be a desirable acquisition can be very profitable. If you really pay attention to the news when it comes to the business world, you see a lot of big companies buying out small companies, right? And in some shape or form, some of these small companies, that's their exit strategy. Their exit strategy is to build a small company where a big company buys them out. So the same example that I used before, where, it may have cost you $5,000 to start a business, but the exit strategy is to scale it enough to sell it at a higher multiple, because the industry or sector you in, there's some heavy hitters up there that will pretty much give you a nice pretty dollar for your company. So these are the things that you have to consider. So one of the advantages, a competing business may be highly motivated to purchase your business. You have businesses that buy out competitors because you may have something that this business may not have. So it's the same as when we're talking about growth through acquisitions. And growth through acquisition is basically saying, hey, instead of me starting a business from scratch, I'm going to go ahead and buy a company that already have the infrastructure, already have clients, already have employees, and already bringing in revenue. So it's the same way. So as a competitor, there may be a particular compartment in their business that's missing. So instead of just actually building out that company, building out that compartment, let's say, for example, they don't have, a marketing department. So instead of actually building out a marketing department, they go find a business and buy it. So you may have a marketing company, scale it and sell it to that company that that's missing that department. Disadvantage, which is, we hear it a lot. The disadvantage is any existing employees may lose their business, lose their jobs. And unfortunately, it happens, especially when it comes to mergers and acquisitions. When companies take over, most of the time these companies are going lean, meaning they're cutting the fat. So if your company, if a company that I'm purchasing has, let's say, for example, employees, and I'm acquiring your company, and I feel like, shoot, I don't need 100 employees. I just need to, cut half of that. Why? Because now I'm increasing my revenue. So instead of me doing payroll for 100 employees, I'm only doing it for 50. Now that additional 50 that I cut, that increases my profit margin. That brings in more revenue. Now that increases my profitability. So that's the disadvantage when it comes to merger and acquisition. Some employees lose their jobs. And that's just an unfortunate thing when it comes to business. Last but not least, you're talking about IPO, which is initial public offering. So while not suitable for all small businesses, the IPO can be a valuable exit strategy. Why it's not suitable for small businesses? Because in today's world, most companies that go public, your company has to be at least $1 billion valuation. If you're not at $1 billion valuation company, there's a slight chance that you really will make it going public. So now you have to be at that $1 billion valuation for your company to look sexy when it comes to going public. So the advantages taking your company public can be extremely profitable. It's basically now you're giving the public the opportunity it's another form of raising capital, put it like that. So these companies that go public, they're raising capital from the public. And that'll be another segment that I go over when I talk about venture capital, private equity, hedge funds, and IPOs. I'll do another training on that so you understand that space and the mindset of the investors, and also the mindset of the entrepreneurs who's seeking to raise capital from these financial institutions or these savvy investors. The disadvantage when it comes to IPOs is it can cost. It's a lot of documentations involved, legal fees. It does cost. That's why now what's being popular is the specs, SPACs. The specs are more, it's cheaper now, and people are finding it's easier to go public through specs, which again, that'll be a whole nother training. And then compliance and reporting standards, meaning understanding before your company goes public, your company is private. So all your financial statements and everything that goes on with your company is really held secret. Only you and maybe your accountant or your tax person may know what goes on in the business. But when you go public, everybody's aware of your business. When you file, I forgot the form name, but when you file, even when you file to go public, individuals are able, especially potential investors, are able to look up your company and look up your financial statements. So when you do your Q1 quarterly financial reporting, investors can look all in your company. So there's really no secret on how much money you're making, how much money you lost, what you investing your money in. So now the gates is open up and it's open for scrutiny. And that's one of the disadvantages of actually going public. So that concludes this. I hope you have some valuable information. And again, I know this is something that many people don't talk about, especially business consultants. They don't talk about exit strategy, but I hope you kind of got a clear picture on why it's important to understand your exit strategy, because once you understand your exit strategy, it will properly prepare you on how to structure your business and how to scale your business. Because when you go with the end in mind, you will know how to properly structure your business. Let me stop sharing this. Let me go here. All right. So, man, I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know if I have any comments. Couldn't see. Tatiana said they are buying the list. Yep. Same thing like real estate. Real estate, these people have lists of you have people that go out and find what they call bird watchers or dog walkers or something like that, where they actually go out and find, houses that are for sale, and they end up finding, investors to buy these properties. So it's the same thing when you talk about business brokers, or even like what they call middlemen. You have individuals that find these businesses that's for sale, even businesses that's not for sale, or the business owner may not even thought of selling a company, but they may get an offer. And in most cases, again, having an exit strategy is important, because, like, again, in who is that? So yeah, so having an exit strategy is important. I don't know who this is. Let me see. Shirley. Hey, Shirley. What's going on, Daryl? So yeah, having an exit strategy is important. Whether, like I said before, when you get a life insurance policy, that's an exit strategy for your life, for your kids and family life. When you have a job, your retirement plan, your 401k, your Social Security check, that's an exit strategy. When you in real estate, whether it's a fix and flip or you're getting rental properties to create passive income, and the goal can be, have enough multiple incomes and have a management company manage all your property so you can sit back and collect a check. That's an exit strategy. And just like I went over with, when it comes to business, leaving a legacy, or management buyout, or scaling your company to sell it at a higher multiple, or going public, all of these are exit strategies. So when you start with the end in mind, it will help position your business to be profitable, and it will help position your business and position you to have a smooth transition once that time is up. Because at the end of the day, none of us can work our business forever. So we always got to have some form of exit strategy and plan, whatever that may look like. And again, that all depends on your personal goals as a business owner, as an investor. But I can tell you now, like myself, I have multiple exit strategy for multiple businesses that I have and plan on having. And it just gives me such relief, because I know the end, and I got the end in mind, so I know how to properly structure my business when it comes to that. So again, when we're talking about leaving a legacy or building wealth and things of that nature, that's too general. We have to be specific. We have to be intentional on what does that look like to leave a legacy. Because you want to start a business and leave a legacy for your kids to take over. Imagine your kids at that age, they get older, 20-something years old, and it's time for you to retire, or even if you pass away and they don't want the business, then what? So these are the things you have to consider. We can't talk about leave a legacy if you're not teaching your kids the business, you're not educating your kids on investing. They're gonna screw it up when it's time for them to take over, because you haven't educated them on it. You haven't involved them in the process and actually see what you actually doing. And in some cases, they may not be a good fit to be a business owner or entrepreneur. So what other exit strategies you can do? Instead of running a business, you can create passive income through your holding company or through a trust, where they may not be a good fit to run the business, but now you can position them where, okay, if you want to obtain a career or a job, you still will have additional income coming in from assets that that mommy and daddy have built up, where now you don't really have to struggle for money. So now these are the things that you need to strategically think about when you talk about exit strategy. Again, Thank you for chiming in. This is part 2, exit strategy. Next week, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'll come up with something. I have, a lot of content, a lot of information to give you. I'm just dumping it all out. Again, the way I do business, the way I think about business is completely different from a lot of people. And I'm just sharing my information. You take it how you want to take it, to be honest. Everything that I'm teaching you, everything that I'm sharing with you, I am doing myself. So I'm not just giving you something that I'm not doing already. Maybe next week I may talk about holding companies. I don't know. But we'll see. Again, share this video. Thank you for tuning in. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crowd Wall Street Entrepreneurs. If you haven't already, create a free account on our platform, crowdwallstreet.com. We're in the process of having a couple of companies that'll be raising capital on our platform. I do have some other news that I will be sharing with you this week coming. Again, we have some big plans for Crowd Wall Street. And again, we need all the support that we can. And if you think this stuff is valuable, and if you know somebody that can, take heed to things that we've been teaching so far and what our mission and vision is, make sure you share this video. Invite them to the group. We're almost at 500 people in the group. Go ahead and join our Facebook group. Invite people. Again, we're going to be doing these trainings every Sunday. We do our Wednesday night lives when we highlight, black businesses, black entrepreneurs. So that's it, man. Follow us on Instagram, Crowd Wall Street. We on Facebook, Crowd Wall Street. If you have any questions, anything, you can write them in the comment. You can inbox me or anybody from my team. And we'll love to answer your questions and have that conversation with you. So I appreciate your time. Make sure you share this video. See you Wednesday night.